Today we're making headbands. There's two different ways. You can do one sewing or you can do one no sew. It doesn't matter, but do it. Just get out there and do it.
Yeah, super easy. Let's do this.
Here's to hopefully successfully completing it.
Yeah. And we might include a koozie version too. You never know. Subscribe to our newsletter and maybe you'll get an extra tutorial.
We're going to go ahead and measure 11 inches by 36 inches wide.
We're going to mark 3 separate spots along the fabric just so you have a guide. Because this fabric is stretchy fabric, you want to go ahead and set your sewing machine to a zigzag stitch. The zigzag stitch actually helps for the fabric to maintain the stretch so that the stitch doesn't break. Fold it in half lengthwise.
Don't worry about that seam, guys. I ended up sewing 2 smaller pieces together, but the way yours is set up in your box, you can measure out 1 long piece.
So that we can basically make a long tube. So just fold it in half and put a couple pins in it just so that everything stays aligned. We are going to go ahead and put a seam going down the entire length to make a tube. Now that we've got our long tube, we are going to go ahead and reach through and make it right side out. So just flip the fabric inside out and start making knots. And you can make however many knots you want. If you want it larger, if you want it smaller, you can make fewer knots or more knots. It's up to you. I'm probably going to do about 3 knots, so I've done 2 on either side, and then I'm going to do 1 more in the middle. Good enough for me, so I got all these kind of squished up nice and tight against each other. Fold these pieces together and make 1 seam just stitching these 2 together, and it looks like it's going to be on the outside right now, but once we're done sewing it we'll be able to flip it out like this and the seam will be basically up against your head and you won't be able to see it. I'm going to go ahead and measure it on my head just to double check that it's going to be the right size. Now that you flip it out, you can't see the seam, which is pretty sweet. And we can go ahead and make whatever adjustments you want. And the good thing about this is since the knots aren't sewn into place, you can easily kind of loosen them and readjust them. And let's see if I can get this around my head. All situated, and we're set. Do I look like a crazy person? We need 2 pieces that are cut out 8 by 24. Measure out 24 inches and make our mark. cut these two pieces at 8 inches wide. Now that you've got your two pieces, we're going to go ahead and flip it over to where the pattern side is facing each other and pin that together. And stitch along the edge one more time on your second piece using the zigzag stitch. Flip both of these pieces right side facing out. We've got two pieces that are the exact same size, and we flip them right side out so that the pattern's facing out. And we're basically going to crisscross them like this, fold this side up, and fold this side down. Once we've got both sides lined up, sew all four sides together along the edge, and then we are done. So go ahead and at this point, go ahead and measure it one more time on your head, just to make sure that it's gonna be tight enough against your head so where it's not slipping off. This one is a little bit loose since we used the long fabric, so I know to sew in a couple of inches, or about 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna align these sides up to where the seams are on the same side, going this way and also this way. So both seams are facing this way, facing out. We're gonna go ahead and stitch going along this edge, and make sure you backstitch each end, just because it's so thick. We want to make sure that the thread doesn't start coming out and unraveling. I need it to come in about 1.5 inches so that it's snug against my head. Go ahead and cut the excess off. And now you've got a nice clean finished edge on the outside and your little top knot. So go ahead and try this bad boy out. There's your second headband. Now we're gonna start the tutorial for the no-sew messy knot headband.
We're measuring one piece out at 11 inches long by 36 inches wide. Here, I'm cutting two pieces, but the half yard of fabric that we included in your box will allow you to make the messy knot headband with one continuous piece of fabric instead of two. Fold it in half lengthwise to create a tube shape.
Right.
I like to keep my pins about an inch from the edge of the fabric. That way I can run my hot glue gun along it without having to move my pins.
This part can be kind of time consuming because you want to hurry up and do it, but it's good to make sure that the edges are lined up. So now I can take the pins out. I'm checking to make sure that this seam is connected, that there's no holes, there's not any space for me to stick my finger through. So I've made 2 knots, completely hidden the seam. It's gonna be a little bit off, but that's fine. So now you find the edge again that has the glued part, which is right here, so I'm putting it facing you, so out to the top. Same with the other side.
Lay the rough edges on top of each other and glue them all together.
The thing with hot glue is sometimes your edges don't lay flat, they look kind of puffy, so make sure that it's laying flat so it glues correctly.
You should have 4 different spots to glue.
Make sure not to stretch it when you're gluing it, or else you'll have one that's overlapping the other and it'll just look really bad. So make sure that they're right on top of each other. So now that the 2 pieces are glued, if you lift it up, you can see that there's glue coming through. That's what you want. That way you can tell that it's connected well and that it won't come apart on you. Go ahead and glue this part together too. I would suggest to double check your edges because sometimes the glue doesn't get all the way to the end. Just hold it open and glue it. That way it's connected all the way to the top, but you don't have to worry about any pieces hanging open. Alright, so this side is actually pretty good. You can see that there's nothing open, so I'm happy with that. And everything is good. So we're done. Like I said, you can kind of mess with your knot. If it's not sitting how you want it to, you can kind of rearrange it so it lays how you want. It might be easier to do once it's on your head and you're looking in the mirror. How's it look? Look good?
Good.
Look good? Like I said, mess with it in the mirror if you need to mess with your knot, but I should be fine, so.
For the no-sew version of the top knot, you're going to measure and cut 2 pieces of fabric 8 inches wide by 24 inches long. Flip it over and pin to hole edges together.
I'm making sure to pin about 1 inch off of the edge. That way I have space to run my glue gun. and be able to lift the edges up. I'm just gonna dot a little bit of the glue. Make sure to press down so it connects and burn myself. It's granted, you have to burn yourself at least once each craft project with the hot glue gun. When you're putting your glue on, make sure to press it, and you'll press it hard enough to where you can see it go through. The fabric's thin enough to see, that way you're ensuring good contact and it won't come loose when you stretch it and put it on your head. Now that you've got both pieces glued down the right side, flip them inside out or right side facing out. As you're flipping, if you see any spots that didn't connect very well, or maybe there's glue showing, you can always run your glue gun back over it to ensure that the edges are connected. See, like here, it's connected, but my finger can go through. You don't want that. So again, fix all the pieces that didn't connect. Just stick some glue in there. Maybe third time's a charm. Let's see. We'll flip it. Alright, once you have the edges that are glued, just crisscross it. Grab one side, make sure the edges are lined up. Same with the other, so just have that hold it.
And glue all 4 open sides together.
You flip it inside out. How does that look? Looks good enough for now.
Here I have my messy knot version, and I'm wearing the top knot version right here.
And I'm wearing the messy top knot.
Yeah! Messy knot! Okay. Here is the messy knot version, and I'm wearing the top knot version.
And I'm wearing the messy knot, and here is my no-sew hot glue gun top knot.
So it was pretty simple. We were able to use the half yard that we include in the box to accomplish both with just a little bit left over. So unless you've got a big head like me, I'd use a little bit extra, but
And remember, you don't have to make this tutorial. You don't have to do these headbands. You can make something totally different. Show us on Instagram, tag us at CMYfabriK Box, or hashtag tried it, nailed it. We'll see it either way. Subscribe to us on YouTube, where CMYfabriK Box or CMYfabriK Box, however you want to say it, doesn't matter. Subscribe, that way you can see all of our tutorials, see how we do things, and
just stay in the know.
yeah, we tried it and we nailed it. So
I think we did. Clink.
thanks for watching.
Bye.